Welcome to all, and thank you for being here to joining us on G100 Global Networking. I am Mar Introini, Global Chair of G100 Global Networking, this network that aims to empower, but to empower ourselves first. And we have the privilege to have book authors among our members. And one of them is our dearest Tanya Mattox, author of the book Young Adult 101, a resource to navigate the journey into adulthood. An amazing jewel that we have discovered with Tanya. Tanya Mattox, how are you?
I am well this morning, Bar, and how are you?
Welcome. And I see that you are not alone today. We are not. This is the second edition of this discussion or conversation, as you wish. Yes. And today we have a real young adult. There is no theoretical. This is not about just a book. We have a young adult. Please introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Robert Lawson. I'm Tanya's grandson.
Grandson. So I thought they were the son, but you are the grandson. Yep. So it's amazing, Tanya. You're applying your method of your book. You're applying in practical terms with Robert. Robert, you are very welcome. You're part now of G100. I hope that does not scare you to be part of our network. Thank you so much for your contribution. We are going to come back to you in a minute. And we have Alessa Fabre. Thank you so much for being here, Alessa.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here this morning.
Alessa is founder and CEO of NU Minister, also Oklahoma City Chair for Holiness and Wisdom on G100. And Tanya is our chair for US on Holiness and Wisdom on G100. She is also a certified coach on ethical manners and book author, of course, and she is also founder in Focus Coaching. Is there any missing, Tanya? Because there is a very long CV, so it's very difficult today. This is, as I say, a second edition because we were so enthusiastic that we need a second part of it, and also to bring a young adult to tell us. And I hope you are not going to criticize too much this book. We bring you to be positive, to have a positive feedback and enthusiasm. Why I say enthusiasm? Why I highlight this? Because we are also a network for friendship. It's very important for us to see women empowered through friendship, through connections, but professionally. We do it professionally, but our feelings is as friends. And that his grandson is here is also the consolidation that we are a family. And that's why Robert is here. Tanya, please introduce ourselves with this amazing book, a handbook that on our last edition we say that we need to introduce it in schools. So because it's a true guidance, we are all, some of us are mothers, and sometimes we need that. We need guidance. We get lost on what is the best, especially after the pandemics. And please keep that question for you, Robert. After the pandemics and before the pandemics, have you seen the word and there were limitations or not for you, or now everything is okay? Tanya, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mar, and thank you, Lisa. Glad that we're all here today. I am happy to cover the book that I wrote, Young Adult 101, a resource handbook, a resource to navigate the journey into adulthood. That book was birthed by my journey with my own children, and I thought that I had pretty much covered everything before the first one went off to college. But upon his first time back home and he needed to take care of an important business matter, I realized I had missed some things. There are things that we do as adults just on automatic because we've done it so frequently and we're used to it. And sometimes the best of mothers might miss one or two important tidbits to help our young people. And that's what inspired me writing the book. And I really do desire that it is a help. It seems to have resonated throughout the children as they have grown. And also, some of the information has trickled down to their own children, the grands. And in this particular point in our history in the world, just what's going on, and as Mar mentioned, the pandemic and what happened with that and isolation and the way that the pandemic changed the way that we worked, the way we received our education, and even social activity. There are a lot of things that I think will resonate and can be used from this particular book. Just some things to remind yourselves of, some things to go over with your young adults. And I'm really interested in hearing a young adult's take on the information that I have in the book. I know that generationally we have different perspectives. And what really worked when I was a young adult, some of those things may not be as appropriate or they need to be enhanced for the young adults of today. So that is really the focus of this particular segment that I was interested in. I want to hear that reflection. And let's see how we can do something better or give more resources or listen more. That is something that I really like, is interaction with other women, other mothers, other adults, young adults, and finding out what they really need now. And I'm interested in any way that I can enhance what it is that they need. Personal finances, dealing with social media, and the different stories that I have read in the news and have seen in other real life situations, the impact of social media usage, what's responsible usage, being careful about cyberbullying and the effects of that, and how to keep things positive. And also having boundaries in that particular space. So, all of these are important points that need to be considered and discussed. And anytime you are ready to click on a button or type out a post, taking a second to really reflect on what it is that you have typed, and do you really want to send that? Because sending a miss or an errant post or something that's not so positive has had quite a negative effect on many lives that they did not expect. So, having this discussion is really exciting for me because I love to hear the perspectives of others. And I hope that others are watching and they have questions that they pose in the chat. So, Mar, thank you so much for this platform. I'm so happy to be working with Global Networking in this particular event.
It's us who are grateful for this book and for your generosity to be here and be here with your family. So Robert, thrilled to have you here. And Robert, tell me, what is your vision in relation to pandemics? You are 19 years old now.
Yeah.
So when you see on perspective what was pandemics and you see social media, your relations in college, what is your perspective? Negative, positive? You are hopeful for the future. Whatever comes to your mind, it would be great.
Yeah. The pandemic was eye opener because of how isolated we were, just as people, and to be when the pandemic happened, I believe I was 17, so I was used to being in school with all my friends, just talking, having fun, and then being isolated was a whole different environment for me. So it was new things that I had to learn about myself, and then also going forward, growing up, because I was going into my senior year, getting ready to graduate. So there were a lot of things that I needed to learn that was in this book that helped me progress into becoming a young adult. So the pandemic wasn't necessarily bad, but there were moments where it was kind of bad, but it was really a learning experience. So I would say, in a way, it was positive.
I love what you are saying. In the end, it's positive.
Yeah.
We live in a world of negativity.
Mhm.
So that you get that positive
Yeah.
or this opportunity to learn and to grow. I think that is fantastic. So you are hopeful for the future. We are hopeful now for the next generation.
Yeah.
Alessa, how is your perception on what was pandemic with you and with your kids? Especially.
It was so very different. The social distancing and, being aware of your surroundings even more so. And the pandemic even, changed in the workplace, in the schools, the kids. You could tell that they were like, it's something the younger ones, the older ones can, kind of adjust, but the younger, they seemed like it was kind of like frantic. Well, what do I do? How do I do this? It's, things that are unknown to them seem to be very frightening. But in the same token, you had to we had a lot of phone calls and it was less coming over and, being around a lot of elderlies and things in schools, things had to change abruptly. It wasn't just something that, just came on slowly. It came abruptly. And as it came on, things had to change, even in the schools, in the workplaces and everywhere. And for the teenagers and, thinking of what they have to do, they have to take on more independence than, being more so connected directly, more indirectly to parents and to educators and those type of things, and moving from the classroom to virtual learning and teaching and those type of things. I thought that was very, very different and a big change for the children as well as the world today.
Thank you, Alessa. Yes, you raise a key point, that is that pandemics with homeschooling, to be close to the family, they create new relationships or reshape the new one. And Robert, what is that? What is to be so close to the family? That
Yeah.
is totally positive, or you can find something negative on that? You think it was an opportunity to know better your family? That's good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. With us not being able to do the family outings that we do, because my family is very big and it's just a lot of love between all of us. So we always, it wouldn't even have to be a holiday per se. It could be a birthday, or we're all just going to great grandma's house to see each other. So when the pandemic hit and we couldn't really get to meet up, we would still do Zoom calls. And then just not having that face-to-face personal connection, we did reach out to each other more. So I would call my great grandma, call my cousins, see how they're doing. They'll call me. So it was still growing relationship. It wasn't like we couldn't talk to each other. We just tightened up more as a family, even though we couldn't be face to face.
Thank you, Robert. My idea is that we live in a accelerated world that sometimes is not going on the path that I consider correct. And one of it is what is traditional values of family. The traditional, when you reshape it, don't have to be wrong. Traditions are not wrong or not have to be conservative because of that. Sometimes is what you are describing, Robert. It was your sphere of protection. That's why it was so positive for you. So, but what do you think, Tanya, in terms of what the society is moving forward? What is social media? What is individualism? What is image? Because Instagram, you live, Robert, in a world of Instagrammers, and everything is what you see, not what you feel. And so what do you think about that? It's adapted or not to your book, Tanya, with the values of your book, rather to your guidance, Tanya, please.
Yes. Well, again, like you said, that we are in a faster paced society, and then with social media and Instagram, and then you have TikTok now, which is new, and it's even faster, and it's little bites, and it's all sorts of things and memes and things that I'm still learning about it. And it's all a space that can be good and positive, but it can also cause challenges if there is not a basic rootedness in who you are as an individual. And seeing a lot of the comparison going on between what we people see on social media, especially Instagram, because it's basically pictures, images, and that's what it's about. And comparing yourself to those things. Though that's the one concern I have in the social media usage and with the youth, because it's a time where you're growing and developing and learning more about who you are. And that can sometimes be muddled or overshadowed by looking at what's online and doing the comparison of what you're seeing with your reality. So it's important to have a base and be rooted and realize that it's almost like looking at a movie, looking at Instagram or looking at something online. What you see may not be real. It is created and fabricated. So that I think would take some of the weight off of a young person or any individual who's heavily using social media. And I don't advocate heavy usage because it can be a distraction from other things that you really need to take care of. And you're more outside of yourself instead of doing the internal work about who you are, what you need, what fills your soul, and what's important. So there's some cautions, and you can use it joyously, but also know that everything you see is not necessarily the truth.
Thank you, Tanya. Alisa, what's your feeling on that? Instagrammer, or so how we could use it, because I think that's the point, Tanya. I think it's the point of balance to say it's not to use it. It's not to boycott, it's to use it, but in a healthy way. So that's the challenge of how we are going back to you, Robert. What are your perception of what is social media? Before we are going to Alessa, what do you think, how we could manage with that?
Yes, I do agree with Tanya, because it is, some things are real, some are not. And distinguishing the difference and being of the age to be able to distinguish the difference, and not allowing it to overtake the space where there is time for other things. I think that a lot of it takes a lot from the everyday things of life, because of it's like watching TV, but you're having it in the palm of your hand now. And so many different things are positive and are negative, as Tanya said. And I do definitely agree that it can be good in some aspects, and it can be some issues, because there are things out in the cyberspace that some things that should not be exposed, that come up to be exposed on social media. So I definitely agree that there has to be a balance there as well.
Lisa, Robert, how do we have a balance in a world that is bombing you with image? It's something that is lovely, it's very attractive. It's also attractive for me. I have to put limits to myself on the way I use it. But Robert, do you think that in that negative side of what is Instagram and all social media, it could be a driver to bullying or not? Or I am exaggerating? So let us know, please.
Yeah, the negative stuff can definitely be a driver for like bullying and then a lot of interpersonal issues that people develop on social media. I remember high school, I think right before the pandemic, I did a paper on social media and the effects on people my age and how it causes like body dysmorphia and feeling like you're not enough. And then me personally, through the pandemic, just being on Instagram, you're saying us being young kids, we're not like really following not necessarily bad people, but we're following like rappers or singers, a DJ that does this, or all of these people. So for me, it was like seeing everybody else with like a new $500,000 car, and then me being 17 or 18, it would make me feel like, well, I guess I'm not doing enough, when really I'm not even at the age or have the experience to even be in a space to have something like that. So Instagram definitely does have its negative effects on all of us, young and old, I would say. But it is like my grandma said, you have to have a healthy balance, because if you're looking at too much of the stuff where people are flexing, you don't even know if that's actually theirs. They could just be putting that there just to make it seem like they have it, or their persona, which makes people my age, like how I was, think like I'm not doing enough. And even now with me and my friends, we'll see something and be like, okay, we got to work harder. Like we'll be on Instagram, we'll see somebody did this, and we'll just talk within the group and be like, that made me want to work harder. So now it's not necessarily a negative effect anymore. It drives us more to work harder now.
Like what you say, Robert, no, a driver to work harder, not taking all that aspect negative into positive, no. So it could be also a way to be motivated, to say, well, maybe I could do better, maybe I am not doing enough.
Yeah.
So the fact is that also we go to mental health. That is another of our series of conversation. It's very important to keep our mental health clean, despite all the pollution that we have around. And let's go to chapter 6 of this book, because it's related to that. Lifestyle is the name of this chapter, and I'm sure all of you have a say in relation to this. No, Tanya make a warning in capital letters. Warning. She's a grandmom, so she knows how to do this. No? So in capital letters, a warning: there are no take backs. What you say in cyberspace lives forever. First of all, before going to Tanya, please, Robert, what do you think about what your grandmom said about this?
That is very true. It doesn't. So even though you can delete on social media, it's just so quick and fast paced. Somebody could see your post literally in 30 seconds, and they have a screenshot that lasts forever. So even when people try to delete stuff, regardless of how fast you try to delete it, or if you didn't mean it at that point, people still have a record of the things that you said. So that statement is very true.
Okay, so do you have negative experience because of this?
No, I've never had a negative experience. I do have friends that have in the past. It was like people would just make remarks that didn't need to be made, which would cause like mental thoughts within my friends. They would think like, oh, is this bad, or should I not be doing this, or should I not post? It got to a point where one of my friends wouldn't even post like or make a comment on Instagram. So
that means that you follow grandma book
yeah.
very well, step by step, and so you rescue yourself. Alisa, what do you think? And then we go back to Tanya about lifestyles. What means being the cyberspace? That is something that our generation didn't have that challenge, and now they're very young and very very young, 12 years old, and they have to face this pressure, this extra pressure. Alisa, please.
Yes, even with the younger ages, 12-year-olds, they're into Snapchat and, and TikTok and all the different things, and have accesses, all the accesses that they have to others' photos, and changing photos, and, changing somebody else's face on somebody else's body, and those type of things is so, and really, I think the cautiousness, even as an adult, and being being on social media is very, very, I still see it's very cautious, because I've used it quite often and had to monitor, a lot of it. because it's so much. And if, our age group doesn't know anything, about that, that's very cautious to me, because, it's something that you really need to learn and to adjust at the age that this is coming up. I mean, it's a fast-paced age, and they are doing things, and some of the, like you were talking about, some of the posts that come on so very quickly. If you can't get it, before you even put a period at the end of what you're saying, or a remark, and somebody will take it totally different. I definitely agree. That's something to really be cautious for.
Thank you, Alessa. Tanya, let's go indeed on this chapter 6 of lifestyle and your brand and social media. That is part of the chapter that I think is so important in the current times for young adult societies, and you give a special importance on that. And you say anger expressed online can be misinterpreted as cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is considered a crime in recent years. An increase in youth and young adult suicides has been attributed to bullying. This is terrible. And Tanya, please.
Yes, it was interesting and saddening to read of young persons taking their lives because they had been bullied online. And often young people, and well, people who use social media, period, no matter what the age, if they're not cognizant of thinking first and just let a random comment, a hurtful comment come out, or go on a rant, they don't realize what kind of impact that can have. And the first time I noticed that was reading an article about a young woman who was preparing to go off to college, and she had been accepted to the college of her dreams, but she had been cyberbullying in the past. She had made some comments or another about a fellow student, and just that one incident, that one statement, ruined her chances. They did not want her at the school. She could not attend the school of her dreams. Young people being taunted and teased about maybe their appearance, their hair, their clothes, all of these externals that don't really make the person, but in the young person's mind, it's everything, being accepted and being approved of. And when that does not happen, and they don't have that mental maturity or that mental strength to be able to deal with that type of information, it causes a terrible incident in their mental health. And we have to be very careful about that. Words matter, words are important. And again, things live online forever. You put it out there, you might hope that after a number of years it goes away, or that it's moving so fast that people will miss it and not really know or key into what you have said or what you have done. But that cannot be guaranteed. Again, it's a digital age. It's digitally stamped. It's out there, and you have to have a lot of resources or connections to try to scrub your image. And so when you are a young person and beginning social media usage, I know that it's not normally talked about, but you are personally a brand. And what you put on social media begins to brand who you are. In employment, I had some hiring to do. I went to Facebook to see who this person was. And there were some people that I did not interview because I did not like what I read. So it's a real thing. And I know that in the digital age that we're in, there are many departments, many corporations, many businesses that have departments that their whole job is to check on the individuals that are being considered for employment. So they will go to social media and look at your digital footprint, as it were, look at your image in social media. So you would be well served, very well served, to think about that and be intentional about what it is you put on social media. Realize you are branding yourself. This is what people see, and this is how they will know who you are. When you're marketing online, they talk about people want to people follow people or do business with people that they know, like, and trust. Well, when someone looks at your social media engagement, will they see information that's positive? Will they trust you? Are you saying things that are edifying or uplifting? Or do you have a lot of negative or not so healthy information that you have put out there? So, as a young adult, it's very important that you're intentional about what you post online in your social media, because you are definitely branding yourself.
Robert, what do you think about that? Branding yourself. You're very young to be branding like you will have a company, no? So
Yeah.
yes, business. No, you have a business. You have to be care of the image, of the reputation, and also you are exposure to bullying, because even if you have can go through that experience, you are exposure. We are all exposure to that situation.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you have experience? Do you know of situation that happen in your college, how you do manage with that, or how you are prevented to be in that situation?
Um, one way, well, one way I'm prevented is, well, my parents didn't let me have social media, like even when I was in high school. So I did, it wasn't until 11th grade, I was like 16, 17, where I had like downloaded Snapchat and my parents didn't know. And so that was like my first time having social media. So without it, I thank my parents a lot. So like without social media, like I'm able to think for myself, and certain comments just don't phase me as much as it does for somebody else who's been on social media for since they were in middle school or elementary school. So I myself don't like use social media every day. Like I'm typically logged out during the whole week. I only get on Instagram on the weekend. And then like the branding part is, I feel like that's very true, because even now you'll see like sometimes people bring up a tweet about a famous person from 12, 13 years ago and try to make it seem like that's who they are today. Like people can change, but a lot of stuff that you say on the internet, people can go back, because like my grandma said, everything that's on the internet is there forever. People can go back, see what you said, and then that can affect like, your personal relationships, your future, the people in your own life, family, all of that. So social media is just a big place and space for young people to be in, and it's just so many factors at play and things that you could see and learn that you need to stay away from. I myself still, my little brother is, my little brother is 12. I always forget his age. He's 13. My little brother is 13. My little brother is 13, and I let him have social media, but I still monitor it. So I'll ask him to see his phone just to make sure, because I don't want him to have to go through anything I went through with the feeling like it's not enough, or I'm not doing enough, or don't want him to believe in any of that Instagram or social media facade on top of the bullying, because he's too young for that.
I love what you say. You know, he's too young for that. So
Yeah.
you are perfectly aware of the danger that
Yeah.
it could maybe a threat. Many people don't see it as that, and that is part of the problem. You say yes, Alisa. Yes, you agree with that. Please, yes, please, Alisa.
I definitely agree with that. With the age group and the age difference, but now at the ages, even 12-year-olds, they're more knowledgeable of things that when we were 12, we weren't knowledgeable of, because of, the fast pace and the social media. And Tanya brought up a good point about employment and how being in human resources for years, and having urgent cares and having to hire and fire and those type of things, knowing that you can go on to Facebook or any social media page and pull up someone's name, even just on the regular internet, and find out a lot about their life just on posts that they make. Usually, the posts that they make are they're either positive or they're negative or indifferent. But you can also, I mean, that was a lot. I use that a lot, and with the young people today, and even with their parents not knowing it all, and having to really be strict on what they do in the home as well as out of being at friends or neighbors or somewhere else, even at school.
Absolutely, Alisa. Thank you. So we jump from what is social media to what is relations with others, because it's a whole world of relation. And in chapter 6 on lifestyle, Tanya say, be mindful of your associations. Friends influence each other, no matter what your age, old or young. The influence is so strong that it can predict our future. You may have heard the expression birds of a feather flock together. It means that people who associate with each other are of the same character. Before we go to Tanya, Michael, what do you think about this? Robert, please. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, I talk about.
yeah, that's very true. I will say, um, my grandma, parents always been saying this my whole life, like literally growing up, like keep the right people around you because being around the wrong people could take you to the wrong place. So I've never really had a bad or a situation or experience where I had to switch my friend group. Like a lot of my current friends, I've been friends with them since fifth, sixth grade. Like to me, they're family and vice versa. Like we all call each other's moms, our moms, grandmas. That's also my grandma and all that. But high school, just middle school, high school, that is like a learning place where you learn like certain people you shouldn't be around or birds of a feather do flock together because you could be a good kid in middle school and then you're friends with a kid that's not so good and he's influencing you to do this and that's not even your character. So a lot of that is very true. It's one time that I did have to like not be friends with somebody and just off what they were doing and I felt I was growing as a person and they were still doing things that I don't do anymore. But other than that, because of my grandma, mom, dad, everybody else, I've kept the same flock basically. But it is very true.
Thank you. Tanya.
Yes, that goes back to my own upbringing and the way that I was reared. And I'm going to share a personal experience. One of my moments where I did not shine and where I was almost drawn in. I was in high school. I was in California at the time, and I was in a dance class. We had a dance company, and for some reason the conversation got on the instructor, and it was very negative and all. And I was actually in a crowd where we were sort of bullying the teacher and talking down. And I was looking at it. I said, this is not good because this was not me. And I did think I'd go back and I talked with that instructor and I apologized. And I was appalled at myself that I had allowed my surroundings, the people I was associating with, just that little clique or little group of like young women or young girls in that dance class or in that dance group to have that kind of influence. And I could hear my dad's voice about being an individual. And I was really, really pricked in my heart. I had to go back and apologize. And that was frightening to see just how easily and quickly that can happen. So you do have to watch your associations, because what you concentrate on the most is what you become, whether it's positive or negative. If that's what your focus is, if that's what your environment is, that will definitely have an impact on you, and it will come out. You'll begin to act on that. It's about habits and actually actions. The more that you're influenced or accepting of that behavior, or going along and with the flow and with what everyone is doing, then you put yourself at risk of behaving in a way that in other circumstances and in other instances and in your past had never been your character, but it will have a negative impact on you. So it's very important to protect your space, protect your environment, watch who you associate with, and watch what you allow in your space and what you pick up. Do a self audit and ask yourself, why did I say that? Or why did I have that thought? Or where is this coming from? Why? And evaluate. Is it good? Is it bad? Was it beneficial to the other person? Are you saying something that will help them to grow or edify them? Is it good for you? Is it something that is indicative of who you say you are? We have to be mindful of that. And the earlier we have that awareness, of course, it's good. But anytime you're around a young person and you can influence them in a positive way to help them see that, that's good. And it's not a naggy thing, but we all come here as clean slates. And everything you see, everything you hear, everything you experience, and it has an imprint on your brain and on your heart. And so you have to be mindful of that when you're dealing in relationships with other people. Mind your words. How are you interacting with that person? Have you been beneficial to them? That should always be our goal, to have good relationships and pay attention to how our words and our actions are impacting other people.
Thank you so much, Tanya. So wise words, to the point that also apply for adults. I don't know, Alessa, you were thinking the same, no? Because it also apply. We are in a global networking, and it's global, so a wide range of personalities, cultures, traditions, and we also need to protect ourselves, even if we have the same goals on solidarity, on women empowerment, and even that we need to protect ourselves and be in the correct places. And the power is when you do that, when we are in different places trying to work together. No, Alessa?
Yes, definitely. I was reminded of an incident that just happened recently. I was speaking to my granddaughters, the 10-year-old and 12-year-old, and they were talking about Snap and TikTok and all the videos that were being taken of an incident that had happened. And they were talking and discussing about it. And they would always come to me and talk to me about it. And I would, share with them the wisdom behind even looking at the video and making your own perception of what you see or what actually happened. And just be mindful of your association with people and what you're doing with that device that you have. I said, because it can lead to more serious things if something more serious happens. And understanding what you see also can change how you feel and your mentality about things. And that's so very, very important. And getting distracted with all of that instead of, your responsibilities at home as well as at school. So this is definitely, a warning. It's good in some aspects, but in a lot of aspects, it's definitely being cautious.
Thank you, Alessa. Being cautious, yes, that's what we need to do. We are at the last part of this wonderful meeting, I'm deeply grateful. I think that the fair way to end this space is with our young adults. If you allow me, Tanya, yes,
Yes.
yeah, I would love to just to say 1 minute, and then Alessa, then Tanya, and then finally we go to Robert. And my idea is that we leave our message to what should be for us, humble message to the future generation, and we have the future generation. So Robert, you will give your message of what is social media, what is influence, what is to be in the correct place with the correct attitude in the current challenge times. We repeatedly say that we have to work for the future generation, but what about guidance for them? What about empowerment of youth? That is something that is we debate, but in terms of tools, it's very difficult to find. We are very lucky, and why not? We are blessed to have Tanya Mattox in our network with this wonderful book and your wonderful wisdom that help us so much. Thank you all to be here. Alessa, we'll start with you.
Definitely is a wisdom thing, and knowing that with the age groups that we have to deal with them differently, and where they are, the personalities, and knowing that we didn't have it when we were growing up and they have it now, and getting to know it ourselves, getting to know all of that and how it works and the functionality of it, and just knowing that it's a fast-paced world now, and we got to get into it and know that. And this book is definitely awesome. I have copied it and copied it and told them, and let me share this with you, and we'll get to talking. Of course, the grandchildren that are closer to me, they do, and the adult, I definitely encourage parents to get this book. I really, really encourage them. It's everything. Young adult 101 is definitely a tool that can be used to further and to help those that are not aware of a lot of social media things that are going on. I really agree with it. It's so awesome, so wonderful, and thank you so much, Robert, for sharing with us your wisdom, even at your age. I'm so thankful for that. And Tanya, for writing this. I applaud you, for using the wisdom and the knowledge and listening to God and knowing that we can direct them through our wisdom that we've given from God and the knowledge to know the difference.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that. And thank you, Mar. Always such a marvelous and wonderful moderator and host. I'm so thankful to have this platform to be able to share, and that it's been well received. And I thank you for the growth that I've experienced in our discussion together. And it has led me to see how else I can enhance what I've already written and maybe make a workbook if it's appropriate for some training for them to get some experience. Because I'm thinking from the days where people wrote checks, but now you have digital change and exchange of money. But I always say that even though it's not the norm now, it's elevated, it's new and it's fresh, you still need to know the old school way, because you never know when you need to write a check formally or do something like that. So I'm appreciative of being able to share it, and that it has helped someone. That is my goal. That's my desire. And thank you, grandson, for joining us. And let's have your take on things.
I'd like to thank y'all for allowing me to join this meeting. I'm proud of my grandma and everything that she taught me, on top of what she taught my parents too, that they also taught me. But yeah, I really think this book is important for a lot of people, because not everybody is blessed to have a family that teaches them or supports them like how I am supported. Like, I have friends that I've taught them things or told them things that I learned from this book myself or that I got from my parents. So, like y'all said, this is a very fast-paced world that we live in. And I was talking to an older gentleman one day, and he said, when life starts to seem too fast, just take a seat because you'll start to miss a lot of things. So I'll say for people my age in this young environment, not this fast-paced environment, you just need to slow down. If you feel like it's too fast, take a break, get to know yourself, get to know the people around you, and be around people that empower you and don't want to keep you in the same place.
Magnificent. Thank you so much to all. See you in next edition.
See you.
Thank you.